us. Where is it? Mindful Oz.
Yeah.
If some people can let us know they can hear us, see us, tuning in. I'd love to get a lot of questions through tonight, to be honest.
Yeah, that'd be good fun.
The less I have to think about.
We're up.
We are?
Yep.
You beauty.
I'm going to share it now for you.
Questions. Let's get everyone asking questions. Sweet. Who we got on? If you want to say hello, tune in. Let us know you're listening, watching. I'm doing it in the dark tonight. On request from Mickey. Hides all my wrinkles, apparently. All right. I might kick it off. What do you reckon? I don't know who's on, but I'd love to hear from you. If you've got any questions tonight, send them through. The less time I have to spend thinking about them, or less time I have to spend talking, to be honest. I just want to start tonight by saying a big thank you. Last night I shared thank you with the people that support the charity. Tonight I really want to thank the people, the professional services that support Mindful Oz and myself as an advocate. So Mindful Oz currently work with a few different groups right across Victoria. We've got the Compassionate Friends Victoria. So a big hi to Jenny and the crew at the Compassionate Friends Victoria. They do a magnificent job with support groups and many other facets as well. We've got Catholic Care. The team there do an amazing job. Always supported us, feature at all our events, and provide pamphlet services and support to all the Mindful Oz following. Teletherapy, I guess that's a good place to start. We don't necessarily have a relationship as such with this group, but I'm a big fan of the work Jonathan King does at Listen Health, and being able to provide online support at the moment is critical. So continue to do the work that you do, Jonathan. We're very grateful to have you as a support to Mindful Oz. And I guess my mentor, Heather Yalland, a psychologist in the field and one that's been around for a long, long time, longer than I say that in the nicest ways. Heather she has a wealth of knowledge, and I'm just going to continue to be around her and suck all the education and knowledge I can out of the mind of her, because she's incredible. So thanks for mentoring me, and thanks for keeping me honest in my pursuit of advocacy and the work that I do. What do we got? We've got David Watts doing it in the dark. You've started off on a high, mate. Of course. All right. So episode 4. You'll notice that I've got a good-looking rooster next to me tonight. And so this is Michael Donehue. He's just run through this for you, Mickey boy. Growing up in Benalla, a small country town in northeast Victoria, you know the importance of talking about serious issues like mental health and suicide prevention. In 2009, Michael would tragically lose both his auntie and cousin in the Black Saturday bushfires. At the age of 20, Michael was diagnosed with depression, turning to self-medication in form of alcohol abuse, and was your typical I can do it my own type of guy, much the same as many other blokes out there. Struggling to deal with overall health, Michael began to be met with criticism in regards to his immense weight gain. He then turned to family support and other mechanisms, and one of those was to giving back and helping others. In 2014, Michael joined Love Me, Love You Foundation's main fundraiser, the March With Me event, where he would trek on foot from Albury to Benalla to raise funds for mental health and start meaningful conversations. No easy feat, being 140 kilometres of paving the ground, but you went on the following year, where I was fortunate enough to meet you, Mick, and we joined each other to complete the Bay of Victoria in just 4 days, amassing 235 plus kilometres and continuing to help that charity financially support the work that they're able to do. From 2015 to 2019, you would bounce around offering your support and help to as many organisations as humanly possible, including Outside the Locker Room, AIDS Australia, AIDS Australia, and Pucker Up. 2019, you joined AFL legend Wayne Swass on the Pucker Up bike tour, heading up the campaign by initiating conversations and engaging with community members along the way, again to start those difficult and important conversations. Your journey has seen you speak to groups across Australia and New Zealand, and you're extremely passionate about making a difference to the lives of others. Banana bred Mickey Donehue, who's now a National Services Manager with the Alcohol and Drug Education Specialists, continues to provide meaningful conversations through the power of his lived experiences and can be now seen in mainstream media outlets like The Age, where he's provided support and friendship for elite athletes at AFL level like Chris Mayne and Brodie Myercheck of the Collingwood Football Club. A bloke very much larger than life, and you'll get to experience a lot of that tonight. A wealth of knowledge, but even more fun. Mickey boy, welcome to episode 4, Confined by Walls, Not by Our Heart. How are you,
mate? It's awesome to be here. Thanks for that nice introduction.
Love it, mate. Love it having you on. We're going to have plenty of laughs tonight, which I need, which will be good.
Well, I think when you talk about mental health and mental illness, a lot of people think that it's always serious, but you can have fun while you're doing this work.
No, absolutely, mate. I mean, well, that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that people are, mental health and suicide isn't a dirty word, and that there's a lot of enthusiasm and engagement around it, and that we can start to see, I guess, smile when we talk about these things, because we're seeing more people get the help and support they need and feel comfort to talk about it more often. I mean, it doesn't have to be a dirty word, and I think that's the stigma that surrounds it at the moment. And having conversations like this, hopefully we can change it for many other people out there, not just the men. So where do we want to take this, mate? Where would you like to start?
Start from wherever you want to start, mate. I am very easy. I'm not cheap.
Let's start, mate. I guess we got to take people through the peaks and the troughs. So, I mean, 2009, rough tragedy. Do you want to start there for us, mate?
Yeah, so that was probably the hardest thing for me that I'd been through, both personally and as a family as well. We'd heard leading up to 7th of Feb 2009 that it was probably going to be one of the worst weeks in fire history in Australia and Victoria. And for me, I didn't really buy into it too much, because I thought, well, I'm not in danger. It's nothing that I've really got to worry about. And Saturday mornings was pretty much my time with my family, especially with my dad. He'd cook us breakfast. My brother and I would sit down, check in on each other every Saturday morning and pretty much just see how our weeks have been, how we slept, all that type of stuff. And Dad at the time was working with DELP, and he was looking after some of the fire crews. So we were talking about the fires and how much we probably wouldn't actually see him that day. So he went to work. I went and played cricket, probably fairly poorly because I was never a good cricketer. But thank God we bowled the opposition out for about 45 that day, because it was a stinking hot day. And I got home from cricket, and my mum had received a phone call from my auntie to say that Marysville was under threat with the fires. Now, we thought my cousin's car was full of petrol. They'd jump in the car, they'd drive to Benalla, and they'd be halfway there by the time the fires were around. And 8:30 rolled around on the Sunday morning, and I'll never forget the sound of my mum and how upset she was. And I could obviously tell that there was something up. And unfortunately, we got the phone call to say that my auntie and cousin had lost their life in the fire on the Saturday.
Absolutely tragic news, mate. And I don't have any words to sum up what an experience that was. This, I believe, from reading and from knowing bits and pieces of your story, was the start of your downward spiral. Do you want to talk to me about how this come about? What are some of the things that you started to notice within yourself?
Yeah, so for me, I think leading up to that, I'd kind of got back on top of everything. I was taking my medication, I was having conversations, and I really was looking after myself. I was training hard, I was exercising, diet was like pretty good. But that was probably the trigger that I didn't want, because it put me back to square one and found myself in probably the deepest, darkest hole that I'd ever found myself in. So I turned to alcohol really hard. The medication I was having, I wasn't really taking it regularly. Those conversations went straight out the window, and I was isolating myself in my room. I was drinking 5 nights a week until 2 or 3 in the morning, and a lot of people didn't realise that. Also, at the time of the fires, I thought one of the best ways to cope with how I was feeling was I'd like date a girl that was in the similar area to where the fires hit. And for me, no disrespect to her, but that was probably the worst move that I actually made, because I needed to kind of focus on myself a little bit more, and I didn't actually allow myself to grieve properly. So I was drinking. I was finding myself driving over to Buxton near where the fires were. And if I was having a bad moment or a bad night, whether it be 2 a.m, 3 a.m, I was driving to the block where the house used to be and where my family lived, and I was just sitting there and pretty much trying to get myself through that tough time on my own. But yeah, I turned to alcohol really hard, and it eventually got to the stage where I was waking up on a daily basis thinking about how much grog I could drink on a daily, and then ways that I could actually take my own life, because I was just sick of the pain I was feeling and the person that I was.
Yeah, I've got a quote here from yourself from an earlier post about your experiences from a newspaper, and it says, "It took me a long time to open up about the way that I was feeling, because being in a smaller town, I didn't really want people to know what I was going through." There'd be a lot of people on Mindful Oz that are from regional and rural Australia, given that that's a big part of our governance. Do you want to talk to how you sort of navigated your way through those situations, and how you found the comfort in speaking up, um, knowing that you've said here you found it really hard to initially do that?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's rumors travel that quickly in like small towns, especially. Like you can be walking up the main street of the town, and at one end you could fart, and by the time you got to the other end, you've shit yourself. That's how quick rumors travel. Now, I didn't want to talk about the stuff I was going through because I didn't want to be judged. I already felt ashamed enough. I didn't want to go to the footy club and play footy and be judged for, oh, this guy's weak, he's not going to want to play footy with us, and that kind of thing. But I eventually realised that life is meant to be happy. You're meant to do everything in your own power to live the happiest and best life that you possibly can. And I eventually realised that once I started to talk and open up about what I was feeling, yes, it was hard to have that conversation at the start, but I actually found the hardest part was putting the mask on out in public and being someone that I wasn't.
Hmm. Throughout those stages, I mean, you mentioned that you were experiencing the mental health struggles, and you self-medicated with lots of alcohol and abused that. Did you ever have the thoughts of suicide that crept into your mind?
Oh, all the time. I was waking up, on a daily basis, like I said before, like thinking about how much I could drink to actually get through the day, or was it just easier to actually take my own life because of the way that I was or the person that I was? And in the country, and I'm sure it's the same everywhere, we'd always have Thirsty Thursday. We'd get the boys together and just check in and make sure that we're actually doing all right. Now, I was fairly honest with my mates when it came to my mental health, and they knew that I was struggling a fair bit, but they didn't realise how bad. And I can vividly remember it was in October. Um, we went out for dinner on a Thursday night. I've got a really close relationship with my mates, and I pretty much left the dinner, had a couple of quiet beers, gave him a kiss on the cheek, gave him a pat on the ass, because that's a relationship that I've got with them. And within half an hour of having dinner with my mates, I had a tree lined up at 210 kilometres an hour because I was sick of the person and the pain that I was going through. I knew deep down that I didn't want to die because I had an amazing support network around me. Deep down, I knew that. But in that moment, I just felt so alone and felt so worthless and shit that I didn't really want to go through that anymore. The fortunate thing, this is where I tell people how powerful the mind really is. In that split second, my mind switched off and I had the tree lined up. But the fortunate thing is, one, the brakes worked, but also the thought of my parents, my brother, the small community that I was living in, my sporting teammates came into my head and said, "What are you doing this for? Like, you've got so many amazing people to live for." And the pain that I was feeling then and there, if I'd had gone through with that pain wouldn't be gone. That would have been passed on to those people around me that I absolutely love and adore.
Yeah, and it's an important thing that you mentioned that, because I mean, as you mentioned, you're, I guess, very fortunate in many ways that that thought was something that put the brakes on for you. Whereas there is a lot of people in the mental health field that experience suicidal ideation that say that they never once can navigate their way through to the things that matter to them, the things that they're very grateful for. We all know how many people love and appreciate us, and we know how much devastation it would leave. Yet, for a lot of people out there, they really struggle to identify with that in that moment of time. So it is nice to hear that for someone, it enabled you to put those brakes on that day, mate.
I'm just extremely lucky that it happened, because if that had happened, I wouldn't have met awesome blokes like you. Who knows the pain and devastation they would have left for other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I mean, just from reading out your blurb just before, it's a testament to the person that you are and what you're doing now in the mental health field to create those changes for other people so that they don't have to get to the place in which they have to slam the brakes on.
Yeah.
Um, you want to talk about body image? It's not something that we ever really address on here, and I know I've just jumped from one thing to another here, but I think this is really important because it was something that you would have been going through right through those moments. And I mean, you said to me offline, you've really struggled with body image for a long time, and dealing with managing your weight. You know, tell us a little bit about that, just as I throw up this photo that gives the viewers a little bit of an understanding of the journey that you've been through and where you've got to, which is quite bloody remarkable, if I must say.
Yeah, so I think the hardest part for me was, ever since a young kid when I was at primary school, I was your kind of overweight, little bit of a chubby kid that was hanging off the monkey bars. And I think from such a young age, when I was around my mates who were always a little bit thinner and skinnier, I really struggled from that. I tried doing some weight loss programs through secondary school, and they did start to work a little bit, and I was looking after myself a little bit better. But after 2009, I wasn't putting the right things in place for me mentally and physically. And like I said before, I was drinking 5 nights a week. I was eating pizza, I was eating takeaway food, and it just wasn't obviously the right thing for me, apart from, making some pretty poor choices physically and mentally. As you can see in that photo, I was making some pretty poor fashion choices as well. But for me, I can go to the gym. I can do backyard workouts now at the moment when we're actually not meant to be at the gym, and I can still see that old person. And I still struggle with it on a daily basis. And I think for me, it's really important to continue the conversations as a guy to talk about body image, because you just don't know what someone else might be going through. And if someone else sees a photo like that, they might look at it and go, well, I'm struggling with that, or I've struggled in the past. If he can get through it, I can get through it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important, and those are just some of those ways that support every other method of therapy that we've ever been told. And nutrition and exercise is obviously a big key to that for you and for many other people. I'd like to say that I've still got a lot of work to go in terms of nutrition, but it's a work in progress, and I think it's a battle for everyone, really, especially when we're in isolation now. It's pretty easy to snack and to waste away on all the good things that are sitting in the cupboard that we have access to. Do you want to talk?
I was going to say, too, an interesting story about that, like, I guess the weight loss part as well. Throughout that time, like, I gained a lot of weight, as you just saw, and I've got so much time and love for my mum, and I can really relate to a lot of what Damien said last night. I was sitting on the couch at home. It was a Sunday. I think the AFL might have been on. I was watching the footy because I absolutely love my footy, and I'm missing it like crazy at the moment. But my mum came home and she said, look, you can join up Weight Watchers for $1. Now, I looked at my mum, and I think at the time I had a home brew in my hand, packet of Doritos and a pie, and I was like, Mum, you're looking after me, for one, because you're trying to save me a little bit of money at the same time as saying that I'm a fat bastard. But if it wasn't for that conversation that I had with Mum, like, I honestly don't know if I would have put those changes in place. And who knows, I might have died from a bloody heart attack rather than anything else if I had been living that same lifestyle that I was. So I really do owe a lot to my mum. But at the time, I said to her, Mum, I'm not going to Weight Watchers. I'm a young guy. I'll get judged. It's going to be a room full of old ladies. And she's like, oh, don't be stupid. Like, you'll be right. Just come along with me and we'll do it together. And I went on the first Wednesday night, and I was right. It was a room full of old ladies, and they looked at me really weird, thinking this guy's in the wrong spot. Like, what's he actually doing here? But if I didn't have those chats or that kind of thing with my mum, I honestly don't think I'd be in a position I am today.
That's a beautiful thing, mate. I know just as well as anyone, the discipline that it takes to live with a good exercise and nutrition regime. You're someone that does, and from the outside looking in, it looks like you do it quite easily, but I know it's not the case. You're continuously in the gym. I mean, we meet up for lunch and we go for meetings, and you've got to make sure that you get your workout in. How do you maintain a good discipline? How do you maintain a good discipline knowing that that's exactly what you need to do? That's probably one of your biggest parts of your wellness structure. How do you stay disciplined? It's very easy for me to get sick and tired of going to the gym and working out, and sometimes fall off the perch. How do you maintain that discipline?
I just know that if I go, I'm a better person and I
Mm.
feel better. There's still days where I can wake up and go, I'm not going to the gym today. But I know that like the first move that you make, if you put your socks on, chuck your shorts, your runners on and everything like that, once you make those moves and you get into the gym, I know that once I'm in there, I'm going to leave a completely different person. Obviously, you train as hard as you can to try and look as good as you possibly can, but at the same time, I do it more so for my mental health, so that I know that I'm going to be a better person by the end of the day or to start the next day as well. So some days I still have those moments where I don't even want to go. I can't be bothered. But I know that if I force myself to do something, whether it's 20 minutes, whether it's an hour, whether I get there and feel really good and just smash it for 2 hours, I know that it's going to make me feel a lot better while being there, but then also walking out the door as well and heading home. I'll be a different person and feel a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. But in saying that, is there any little tips or tricks that you do use to ensure that you do get your ass off out of bed and to the gym? Is there any little techniques there is for anyone listening that I might have to use tomorrow to ensure that I get my butt up and outdoors in isolation and going for a jog or a run or a few push-ups or whatever it may be?
Yeah, well, I think it might be a little bit different for me because of where I've been, I suppose, over the last 10 years with being like really overweight and that kind of thing. I kind of use that as my driver. I know that I'm not going to turn into that same person like the next day if I don't train. But for me, it's kind of that thing where I'm suffering from body image stuff. If I don't train, it's kind of in the back of my mind, I'm going to wake up as a fat guy again, and I don't want that. So for me, I suppose the motivation for me is just to go because I know it's going to make me feel better. But to me, it's about like finding those things that you enjoy. Like for me, going to the gym, I absolutely love it. But someone out there that's listening now might absolutely hate the gym.
Yeah.
But it's about like, for me, it's fresh air. Like there's no better feeling than getting out in the sun and feeling the sun on your face. And I'm fortunate that I live really close to the beach. So during summer, like I spend a lot of time down there with my dog and he loves the water as well. So it makes it easy. But it's about finding the things you enjoy. We hear this like social media and media saying, do this exercise to lose weight or do this exercise to feel better. But like well-being and the things that we enjoy are meant to be the things that we enjoy. If you don't like doing it, why would you continue to do it?
Absolutely. There's definitely going to be things that people don't enjoy, but they know they're going to count to the end game. But it definitely does help. I mean, as you said, it might not be the gym, but it might be a walk the dog, or it might be, you might involve your friends in that and tick the two off in the one, that social connection as well as getting your exercise in.
If you can, like I know times have changed at the moment, but if you can do group stuff and you can do stuff with your friends, it really holds you accountable. I kind of look at that as like a doctor's appointment. So it's like if you make a doctor's appointment, you're going to go because it's either going to cost you money or who knows, you might get in trouble if you don't turn up to your appointment. But it's the same if I message you and say, all right, we're meeting at Albert Park at 8 o'clock tomorrow, we're going for a run. I don't want to not go because it's going to let you down. So I think it's that accountable factor as well. If you've got somebody to do something with, it can make a massive benefit to doing some stuff as well.
Yeah, everything in life is much easier done when we share it with someone else. It's nice to have someone keeping us accountable and someone to go on the journey with us. I mean, two of us keeping well is better than one, and when one slips up, you've always got the other to kick you up the arse and get you back into it. Meredith has just sent through a question, and for anyone that's listening, please send questions in. We'd love to hear from you rather than from me. We want to know what you think's important and what you want answered. To have Michael on is an absolute pleasure, and we'd love to pick his brain about everything in which means the most to you and not to me.
Small brain, mate.
It's a good looking brain. as written in, Michael, did going to Weight Watchers change your thinking and body image, or is it a constant battle? Great question.
Very good question. I think for me, body image is a constant battle. Like it's a thing that I work on all the time, and I know that training for me makes me look after myself. But this might sound a little bit cliche, but going to Weight Watchers made me learn a lot more about myself as well, and it also made me learn a lot more about diet, food, and everything like that, and how certain foods can actually make you feel. So I try and like we might have takeaway once a week, once a fortnight, whatever it might be. It's all about everything in moderation and rewarding yourself. But I can still kind of eat a burger for dinner and go, this tastes awesome, but I've got to work my ass off tomorrow because I've eaten this burger. I think for me, meant like the body image stuff is always going to be a battle, and it's always going to be something I've got to work on. But I've learned a lot more about diets and different foods and stuff and the way that it makes me feel and how I kind of react to that as well.
Yeah, love that. Love that. Thanks, Meredith, for the question. As I said just before, if anyone's got any more, please send them in. Keep firing them in. Let's hear from you instead of from me. But moving into another big part of your wellness plan, Mickey boy, is the fact that you love giving back, and that's been a big savior for you. It's been a big savior for me. How did that journey begin, and what made you knock on the door of charities and request that you or put your hand up to help when you were going through unbearable amounts of emotional pain yourself?
Yeah, so it was an interesting story. So it was an AFL grand final day, and Brodie Holland and Russell Robertson had a grand final function at CUB in Melbourne. And at the time, I was still drinking and still partying pretty hard. I think this was 2014 or 2013, it might have been. And I met Lance Baccioni there, who's the founder of Love Me, Love You. And I thought, well, I'm still young. I've got so much that I feel that I can offer for other people. What have I got to lose by reaching out to him on social media and just saying, can I get involved some way? And at the time, there wasn't really anything to do or get involved with. But then March With Me rolled around, and I thought, being a young guy in a small town, if I'm struggling or if other people have struggled, how many others are out there in silence that don't want to talk about this type of stuff? And I thought, well, why not get involved? Get involved with the March With Me event where Lance walked from Sydney to Melbourne. I thought I'll walk from Albury to Benalla just to raise some money and awareness and start those conversations in the small community. Now, the amount of people that came up to me after that and said, I didn't know you were struggling. Like, if you had have spoken about this, I would have helped you. Or the amount of people that came up and said, I've been going through this as well. Thank you so much for talking. Like, I don't do this stuff and you don't do this stuff for pats on the back. Like, I'd love to not be bloody doing this work. I wish we didn't have these issues. But for me to have some of this stuff where people actually opened up and felt more comfortable to talk about it, that's the reason why I do it, because I know how hard it can be for myself. I want to try and prevent that for other people. So, I got involved with Love Me, Love You in 2014 with the first march, and then I was lucky enough to meet you the next day, and we the next year, and we became puck buddies straight away, didn't we?
It was an interesting journey, to say the least. I mean, it's where my mental health, a lot of my mental health journey started, and I mean, I attest to. I know, obviously it's to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before helping anyone else, but I did find a lot of comfort in being involved with the mental health charity and around events and presentations and going and being a part of all of that, because it gave me a sense of belonging, gave me a sense of purpose, and gave me something to work towards. And I remember signing up for March With Me, much like Mickey. And I mean, the idea was to raise $750 to pay for the costs of what it would take to host me in a couple of hotels each night, and for the registration fees and permits and all the rest of that shit that goes on with it. But we turn around and raise 12 to 15 grand each, and it goes a long way to implementing programs and services and makes you feel quite good. But you also see the generosity of the community that get behind you. And I know Jordan White, I don't know if he's on tonight, but I mean, just a cricketer that plays in the Premier League and decided to whack a Mindful Oz bat sticker on his bat, and said, I'll donate $1 for every run I make. And then it was just for him to do, and then to see the generosity of the people around him that supported him this year. And he ended up raising over $3,500, I think, for Mindful Oz this year, which it blew him away. And I mean, the generosity of your network will blow you away when you create these things for yourself and set yourself little goals. And that's, I guess, what we both did at Love Me, Love You. And unfortunately for us, it ended up in a 235-kilometer run, Mickey boy.
Oh, exactly. And I was going to say about the first year as well. I thought the thing for me, what I wanted to do was I wanted to try and get businesses involved as well, trying to have a bit of input into the walk. And the amount of people, I kind of went to them and said, I'll make my own singlets or own shirts, $1 a kilometre. You guys put your logo on my shirt. And that way it was a good way to raise money, get their word out there, kind of like advertising as well. Now, I looked at it and thought, well, it's going to be pretty hard, the 3 days that I did the first year. It's going to be one of the hardest things that I'll ever do, but it's nowhere near as hard as what it is for someone going through a mental illness. My feet were absolutely cooked by the end of it. And I know that your body was absolutely spent as well. But for me, like waking up and going, oh, my feet are so sore, but how's that person that's in bed, that's struggling, that can't even get themselves onto their feet? Like I still had my health. I was in a great spot mentally, and just the buy-in from everyone. Like I had a police escort walking into town, and I had people like on both sides of the main street, like clapping me in. I was like, I don't do this for that kind of stuff. But if this is what it takes, me putting my body through absolute hell for 3 days, if this is what it takes to start a conversation, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
But also, the other hard thing about it was I couldn't actually train before the 3 days I did because I tore my calf twice. So that was an interesting experience as well. When you turn up the first days, like 52 Ks to Rutherglen or something, and you've got some ex-AFL blokes that are still like pretty fit, and you're running for 2 minutes and walking for 5 or 6 minutes for that whole distance. I was just like, how am I going to do this? But I think the thing that I found hardest probably wasn't so much the body, but it was the mental strength and kind of waking up the next day and going, holy shit, I've just done 52 Ks, but I've got to do this again today. I think each year it got a little bit easier because I worked out that you knew how hard it was going to be. I think a lot of people, when I was training in the gym and that kind of thing, people said, oh, you'll be fine. It's just walking. But
Yeah.
Have you tried walking 52 Ks and being on your feet for like 11 to 12 or even 13 hours a day? I'm just going to plug my laptop in.
Of course, go for it. I can attest to that because that was, I mean, as that photo shows, that's me and Mickey and Vulcan, who was on before, enjoying a beer after that run. I was out injured for 18 months after that. And that's what walking does to you. That's what spending time on your feet does. But as Mickey said, and as Damien was talking about last night, and as Jason on episode 1 could attest to as well, what you can learn about yourself in those moments where it's just you and the road, or, you know, for me, I was stuck with a group of strangers. I'd never met Mickey, never met Vulcan, never met any of these people. And all of a sudden, we're still very, very close to this day. And the relationships and conversations that sparked up from doing something like this, when you hang around people that make you feel that love and belonging that we had at that event. And again, the same as last night, it's not something that I encourage people to go out and do a stupid amount of kilometers, but you never take away what we learn on those experiences. And when we push our mind to its absolute limits and our body to its absolute limits, you can really get a lot out of it, and you realize how strong we can all be. And I think it was a big turning point in my life because I realized that when I really did push and dig deep, and you get your second and third and fourth wins each day, you realize that you can just keep going, and there's no such thing as giving up. And I mean,
it's amazing what surrounding yourself with similar mindset people can do to you as well. Like I know that I've had to cut ties with certain friends because some of the time I feel worse after leaving them than like before I got there, kind of thing. But if you can surround yourself with like-minded people, it really does make a big difference. And I think I'm not, like, we didn't just say puck buddies before for people to think that there was something crazy going on, but that was one object that brought us closer over that walk. It kind of kept us occupied for if you see the Werribee sign, it's probably one of the furthest signs from the centre of town that I've ever seen. I do not recommend walking from Geelong to Werribee, that's for sure. But that puck really helped us through that day, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it started a lot of conversations, but it brought up a lot of laughter. And after you've been on the road for 4 days and all you want to, well, 3 days, and all you want to do is sleep and put the legs up, and all you've seen for 3 days is just trees and road for as long as the eye can
Yeah,
see, or, to share those laughs and to share those conversations. And I guess it all comes back to the big part of mental health and well-being is starting those conversations and engaging in each other and learning more and more about one another. And I know that my journey became a lot easier on that run when I decided to share all of the pain in which I was experiencing. And, I talked about my attempts. I talked about being homeless. I talked about all this sort of stuff. So, I mean, and in turn, I've got friends for life, and you don't have to go and do a stupid amount of kilometers to get that. You just need to be able to engage in conversations and to know to step forward into that arena and be who you really are, and not who we think we should be or what society tells us to be. So, yeah, I take a lot away from those runs.
and that's the thing. The important thing you just said there too about conversation as well is you don't have to do the kilometers. You don't have to get in front of thousands of people and say that I'm struggling or I have struggled. It's about finding that one. Like, it's about finding that safe space, that safe environment where you feel comfortable, and finding that one person that you trust and having that conversation with. You don't have to go to a new footy club and stand in front of 60 blokes at the start of pre-season and go, "G'day, boys, just letting everyone know that I've got depression. I feel like shit today." You don't actually have to do that. It's about finding just that one person that you feel comfortable with and reaching out to them and saying, "Look, I'm struggling. What should I do?" Or who knows, that person that you talk to might know what to say or might know what to do, but to know that they feel comfortable to talk to you is a beautiful thing, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it leads us straight into a point that I really want to talk about, Mickey, because while I might be on this end of the microphone and you might be on that, and we're on stages and we do the work that we do, we're not invincible, and we still experience the same thoughts and feelings that we once did, and we always will. I guess I want to talk about the fact that we're all just the same in this journey. And I mean, you still continue to have your bad days. Is that right?
Oh, I have my bad days all the time. Like, well, not all the time, not as much as what I used to, but I can still wake up and I can still feel flat, or I can still feel that I don't want to get out of bed, or I don't want to take the dog for a walk. But I know that I'm getting that, like, I get so much energy and positivity from other people, and knowing that I'm making a difference in their life as well, or feeling like I'm making a difference. I certainly have a lot less bad days now than what I used to.
Yeah.
But just because I'm out there talking to different people all the time, and like you said, standing on different stages or in different states or different countries, doesn't mean that I don't have bad days. Like, I can wake up before a day of work where I'm away. I might have been on the road for a week, been away from my girlfriend, been away from my dog, and like, people think that when you travel for work, it is a bit of a glamorous lifestyle, but you do have your struggles while you're on the road. And I'm sure you're probably in a similar position. Like, if you get out of bed and you're feeling flat and you've got to go to a talk and talk about mental health, it's pretty hard some of the time to get yourself up for it.
I find it extremely difficult to be away from home and I mean, I live alone here in Melbourne, so you would think it's not much different, but being held up from hotel to hotel room every night and living out of a suitcase and no normality, no routine, no structure really throws me about. But the worst part is after you get off stage and you've just talked to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people about mental health and well-being and suicide prevention, to go back to that hotel room and have no one to debrief to, no one to share that journey with. So, I mean, one thing that comes to mind when I think of you, Mickey, is your ability to have conversations, and you've gone on many of journeys in embarking on trying to create these for a lot of people. So moving into your journey with Pucker Up and the bike ride and how that worked for you, what are some of these things that keeps you well when you are on the road and when you're doing things like this and starting and engaging in these conversations?
I think with the Pucker Up ride, it was a little bit different because I was surrounded by different people all the time. And there's Mum. Mum's just tuned in. Love you, Mum.
Hey, Mum.
But yeah, for me, I was lucky that there were those people around me that were supporting me through that. Now, a lot of people probably don't realize this, but like when you drive, like it was hard for the people riding the bikes, no doubt about it. But for me, it was fairly tough as well because you're always on, you're always talking to people, and I got to the stage where I drove myself to exhaustion and I was vomiting one of the mornings because I was that dehydrated because of not drinking water, talking all the time and that kind of thing. But that experience was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. Getting to be involved with Wayne Schwass, who's an absolute star of this field. He's doing a lot of positive work as well. And I was lucky enough to meet him at a breakfast a couple of years ago. And as you know, if you reach out to people, if you're polite, like the worst thing that they can say is no, I don't want to talk to you, or I don't have time for this at the moment. But Schwatter came to me and said, look, I've got an opportunity for you where I think you'd be perfect for it. Because as you can tell, I can probably talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles. And he came to me and said, look, do you want to get involved? And I spoke to my boss and he was really supportive of this as well. So I took some time off work, got involved, and yeah, just surrounded myself with like-minded people. And honestly, one of the most rewarding things in my life. So we got into Benalla the second night and I got up in front of the footy club and told my story in front of another 40 people that were involved with Pucker Up that had never heard it before. And to share is, I think it gives other people permission to share their story as well, or it makes them feel a lot more comfortable. So for every other night on the tour, we had different people get up, tell their story, share different experiences. Like there was so many tears, there was so many hugs, but I'm not frightened to say I'm probably one of the most emotional guys out there. And it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me one bit. If I cry in front of people, I'm not going to apologise one bit because that's who I am. And if you don't like who I am, well, I probably don't want to be around you, you know? Like, accept me for who I am. And, yeah, it was one of the best experiences I've ever done.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. I would love to talk more about what Mickey Donehue does or what you can share with us that you can provide for the people that are listening at home in isolation. What are some tools, techniques, and strategies that might be best for this time, knowing that we're going through a really difficult and challenging time? I know we've shared a lot over the last 3 episodes, but hopefully within your message, there's something new. Or what's the structure look like for Mickey Donehue to stay well in this time?
Definitely. So for me, it's connection. I know that we can't do the face-to-face connection, but I've been just having a little bit of fun. I've taken a little bit of annual leave to spend some time at home, and I've just been like doing random live videos on Instagram with different people just to have a chat. And I don't care if only one person watches it. Like it's a bit of fun for me. It's opening up conversation. So for me, it's connection. So reaching out to my family, FaceTiming them. I've got a little nephew over in WA, so FaceTime him as much as I can. FaceTime my mum. The unfortunate thing with this whole situation, like mum's just had an operation, so it's kind of preventing me from going to see her because we can't afford her to get sick.
Yeah.
So just trying to stay connected with my family and friends as much as I possibly can because it is a big change to the system because I am a face-to-face person. I'm a hugger. I love shaking hands. Like it's just one of those things. It's like you're giving people bloody the old high five in the air kind of thing. So connection for me is like really important. Training as much as I can as well with what I've got. So I've got like this heavy concrete block out in the backyard that I'm trying to do weights with, and just to try and maintain stuff because I think at times we take a lot of stuff for granted. And we don't want challenges like this, but it kind of forces things on us to work towards other stuff where it's like, what can I do now to put things in place to get back on top of everything or stay on top of everything? Goal setting is another one. So there might be, I was talking to a bloke yesterday who has his 3 and 6 month goals, and obviously not being able to play AFL at the moment and stuck at home, like things have changed for him. So he's changing his goals up. So for me, it's setting small goals and trying to do little things that that I feel a sense of achievement. Now, I know a lot of people talk about getting out of bed and making your bed every morning. Like, that's one of the things I try and do every day, or opening the blinds and that kind of thing, because it gives you that sense of achievement being out of bed, like less than 1 minute. And I think the other one, I set this goal yesterday with my girlfriend. I've never been able to do a handstand. Now, we've got a fair bit of time up our sleeve, and I want to try and do a handstand against a wall, like, and do some push-ups or something like that, just to try different stuff that I've never been able to do. Like, might be trying to learn different songs on the guitar, and like just things that kind of give me purpose, and staying on top of everything. So that's a few things that I've been trying to do to, I guess, stay as close to 100% as possible, and try and keep that routine as normal in these difficult times as possible.
Yeah, I love that, Mickey boy. And one of the things you mentioned was about opening up the shades or the curtains.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people that we talked about this last night as well, and this might be repeating myself, but bunkered down, got all the shit food out. They've settled in front of the TV. They've subscriptions to your Amazons, to your Netflix, to your Stands, to all the rest of that. I was just come across something today that said about the home tips for mental health, and it reads, open all shades and curtains, play music all day in the kitchen, shower and clean clothes every day, drink water in a different glass, call at least one friend a day. Movie time is between 4 to 6 p.m. and at least 1 to 2 hours outside in a walk and a bike ride. And I just think, sometimes we get so caught up trying to give people the tools and techniques, and I'm guilty of this, of, cold therapies and meditation and all these different, techniques that take time. But I think for a lot of people right now, it's just about going back to the basics first, and not getting caught up in what we have in so much time in our hands to just sit and bathe in rest and in. I mean, I've seen a lot of people that say they're not getting up until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're oversleeping and they're tired. So I think it's just really important at the moment just to stay in routine. But you mentioned at the start about opening up the curtains and getting that sunlight. I mean, vitamin D is so important for the brain. So I think that's really important in this time.
It's another thing as well where, like, a lot of people, I think, when they hear the word exercise, they think that they've got to do something for like an hour to benefit them. Now, like, traveling around and doing different talks, like, one of the first things I do is I open my talks with like a 10-minute HIIT exercise, or like a bit of a walk, because working with uni students, a lot of the time they're probably just rolled out of bed. They're thinking, this is so shit. We're going to learn about alcohol and drugs. I really can't be bothered doing this. And then they turn up and they go, oh, we're doing exercise to start. Like, what is this?
Shock to the brain.
Exactly. So it's one of those things that you could do 4 exercises with them for 30 seconds each. Now, I'm no good with maths, but that's about 2 minutes, and we've got 24 hours in every day. If 2 minutes is what it takes to kind of have a positive impact on you, get outside in the sun, do 2 minutes of star jumps, whatever it might be, get the blood pumping. Small things like that can have a huge difference to the way that you're feeling and the way that you view different things on a daily basis, I reckon.
Yeah, there's quick ways in which to change the state, and change our state. We change our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And, that's why I think number 2 on that list, to play music when you're in the kitchen. I mean, it's a disruption to the brain, and it almost brings pure joy to us within the first 8 seconds of each song. So, I mean,
and music's been one of those things that's played arguably one of the biggest roles in my life ever. And I'm fortunate enough that some of the stuff that I've done has led me to playing with different bands or meeting different bands. And I 100% agree with you that the beauty of music is there's a different genre or different style for the way that you're feeling. Like, I could go to the gym and listen to the hardest, heaviest screamo stuff that you could find, and then there might be days where I'm listening to acoustic Pete Murray stuff, like on a daily basis. Like, the beauty of music is there's always a style for the way that you're feeling.
yeah, absolutely. For people that are listening, Mick, I mean, you've got a skill set and a routine that you follow quite thoroughly, and you're good at, you have the discipline that goes with that. Whereabouts have you come up with all of your techniques, strategies, and the ways in which you look after yourself with self-care? Where can people at home go to find these things that you've found these things? How do we accumulate these skill sets?
It's a good question. I think for me, it's been a lot of trial and error. I think back to when I was going to the doctor and I was on medication and stuff like that, there's more than one medication. There's more than one doctor. There's more than one psychologist. If they don't work for you, it's about that trial and error and trying different things to see what works. Like I can sit here and say that exercise is the best thing for me and the best thing for mental health or mental illness. But if you don't enjoy that, it's about finding those other things that you enjoy. So for me, I was fortunate enough that I had a really supportive network around me. Playing in footy teams my whole life is an amazing thing because you've always got people that you can talk to or you can rely on if you feel comfortable to do that. But I think for me, the way that I was feeling, I kind of felt more comfortable doing that or finding that thing on my own and then kind of bringing others in once I've found that. So exercise, what we've spoken about, has been awesome. Doing boot camps and getting to know other people that way, getting in the gym. Like I don't go out these days, so going to the gym is my social outing. It's like people that wait for Friday or Saturday night to get on the beers. I wait to lift dumbbells at a gym and talk to people. But I think for me, it's just been that trial and error thing and trying to find out what works for me, who's the best person to talk to or that kind of thing. But yeah, once I found the thing that worked, like exercise, trying to eat healthy, look after myself that way, I just wanted to try and do it as much as I possibly can and challenge myself in ways that I didn't think things that the body could do.
Absolutely. Love that. And perfect for anyone out there that's listening. It's the same method that I use. It's all trial and error. I'll look at the ways in which other advocates are doing things, the way that people have achieved things, and I'll pick up what I need and put the rest down that doesn't suit me. Mickey boy, I want to talk about this because I had Damien on last night and he's walked into the field the same way we both walked in the field and at different stages. I mean, he's probably a lot more raw and fresh to it at the moment than we've been in it for a long time as such. All the haters and doubters, mate. Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned this on episode 1, I think, with Jason, that I was a plumber for 8 years and never received one bit of hate mail. And you work in the mental health field and all of a sudden you receive frequently. And it also comes with all the different responsibilities of being the advocates that we are. How do you deal with that? Because I know it's something that you've just launched a recent T-shirt brand with. Do you want to give that a little bit of a showing? A journey.
Yeah. This is one of one. So if you want the pink and black version, you've got to rip it off me.
Don't entice us, mate. Yeah, in all seriousness, it's something that I struggle with. Knowing that you're out there trying to do these things, and like tonight, we're on here in our own time doing this in hope that we can start and engage conversations with other people. We obviously do this out of the right place, but it doesn't prevent people from sending shit comments, hate mail and derogatory statements through. And I know you've been on the brunt end of those just recently. Do you want to talk to me about, I mean, we always talk to each other and we say, is it worth doing the work that we do?
Oh, I was only thinking about that when you just said that. Like, how many times have you and I messaged each other saying, is it worth doing this? Like, is sacrificing our own mental health for others to try and get them to feel comfortable to talk about the stuff that they're going through, is it really worth it? And then I kind of look at it and go, well, people are entitled to their own opinion. But the thing, ever since I've struggled and ever since I kind of got into this industry, the thing I always think about is if I'm going to write a comment on someone's post, whether it might be you post up a photo and I might crack a joke on your post and you think that it's funny and I think it's funny, but there might be 10 other people out there that see it and go, what an absolute asshole. Like, why would he say that? Why would he do that? I'm looking at things in a completely different, I suppose, light now. Like if I think something might be funny, I always think about, is it worth hitting that enter button to put that comment on or that post or whatever it might be, because you just don't know what impact that would have on someone. So I know for me, like with body image issues and stuff like that, like I know that if I've put on weight, I know that you don't have to rub it into me again. Oh, you've been in a good paddock, mate, or gee whiz, what have you been eating? Like, you don't need to say stuff like that to me because I already know that like I need to work on something because I've put on weight or whatever it might be. Or it might be that people have like said to me that I've started the clothing label to make money. I don't give a shit about the money. I don't care if I sell a t-shirt, because if I have these 2 boxes of t-shirts over here for the rest of my life, it's going to be hard to squeeze into the small and mediums, but I'm going to have t-shirts for the rest of my life that I can wear.
But it's so disappointing. I mean, Budgie's got into the work that he does, raising money for the Peter Mac Cancer Foundation, and doing, pushing his body to do the 300 kilometers he did. And you've done it yourself, and I've done it myself as well. And Budgie, as Budgie said, he's starting to receive hate mail. The more that his face is out there, the more influence that he has, and the more responsibilities he's got. And he receives derogatory comments and hate mail all the time. And I know I get them all the time as well. These weren't something that we were receiving when I was plumbing, or when Budgie was working at F45. Like,
I used to work at council, so I was used to it a little bit.
But I know, we catch up and we talk about it, and you've been on the end lately of nasty comments and to things of people that are judgmental towards you, what you do. What is it with people that want to have a shot at the people that are out there trying to do good work?
I don't know. The thing that my parents have always said, if they're hanging shit on you, then they're leaving somebody else alone. So I think the thing that I look at as well is, I've been through some pretty bloody tough stuff in my life. If people want to make comments to me, or send messages, whatever it might be, or make comments about me to other people, all well and good. I've got thick skin. I've been through worse stuff than that, but it'd just be nice if there was, I guess, more teamwork in this space, trying to help people, because that's what we're trying to do. Ultimately, we want to save lives. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
So I just think if we can work together as a team and start these conversations and make people realise that it is okay to not be okay, and there's always someone there willing to help. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and we shouldn't be judgmental of who's doing what in this field. As I've always said, I remember copying criticism because I was selling branded clothing with catchy slogans on it. Oh shit!
So it looks really nice.
They might have stopped me doing that 3 years ago. It looks like nope. Yeah, but I don't care if someone's wearing a wristband, puts a sticker on their car, starts a conversation, or decides to jump on stage or runs an organization. I don't care what it is. I welcome as many people into this field to help on the hardest edges of love and life. Yeah. I don't think we should be getting mocked and banished because this person's done that person's done this person's experienced that. Every single person, I think we need more and more people in this world to start opening up and talking about these things. And the more people that we have, qualification or no qualification, psychologist or meditation teacher, it doesn't matter which end of the stick you are. All of these conversations and experiences are so valuable for someone.
Yeah. Well, I was on a guest panel a few years ago back home, and one of there was qualified people on the panel, and I'm not just saying this to blow wind up my own ass, but I had 2 people come up to me after it and say, I respect everything that you've said. I got the most out of you talking on that panel because you've sat in the gutter with us. You don't understand what we've been through, but you can relate to the things that we've been through. And that's the stuff that drives me. I could have, back in the day, I'd have 100 positive things going on around me, and I might have one negative where I'd focus all that time and energy on that negative. And it was draining. It just took the energy out of you. But now I could go the opposite. I could have 100 negatives where I might do a talk and people say, I didn't really get much out of that. But then you have someone that says, I'm studying psychology and that's the best talk I've ever been to.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that you remember. And that's the thing that goes, well, that's my purpose. That's my reason. That's why I want to keep these conversations going, because you never know where a conversation will take you and what impact it will have on somebody's life.
Oh, absolutely. And I refer back to Jason's comment on episode 1, and we both have the same thing. I've seen a couple of stupid statuses today about people saying that unless you're getting advice from a trusted clinician, then don't take advice from anyone in the mental health field. However, some of the biggest and best learnings I've ever got, and look where I've got to, have been from the people that I meet in my own workshops, in my mental health trainings, that I meet in courses, that I meet on the street, have taught me more about mind and behavioral health than anyone ever has.
Yeah.
I just think we should put the judgment down, put our stupid opinions down about who should be teaching what, and if you've got this or don't have this, then you're not entitled to have a say. I believe that every single person has got lived experiences and knowledge to share, and I just encourage anyone that's listening that, to step forward to the plate and don't be scared or taken back by those that believe that you shouldn't or don't have a place to speak up about these things or to share what you've gone through, because someone out there will relate more to your journey than mine. Someone out there will get more out of your experiences than they will Mickey's, and that's how the world keeps turning. So please do not. I know a lot of people today have messaged me about it and say that they feel scared, and I mean they have to suppress what they've experienced just because they believe that they need to be something that people are putting out on Facebook. They have to be a reputable advocate. Bullshit is what I say. I believe that any single person who has any sort of experience to share, it's better off shared than
the thing that you and I always say as well is your story or my story isn't any better or any more powerful than other people that might be tuning into this or watch it later on down the track. I suppose we're just in a position where we want to share it. Yeah. We want to try and talk about it as much as we can, so that opens those doors for other people that might have been through similar things to what you've been through, might have been through similar things to what I've been through. But it's about making others feel comfortable if they feel uncomfortable about some of this stuff. Yeah, like my story isn't any more powerful or better than anybody else out there. But I've got a massive heart, and I want to try and use that with other people and try and get them to talk and look after themselves as well.
The role of sharing stories of hope, healing, and recovery is to encourage the next person to do the same thing. And if we're all out there sharing the same stories of hope, healing, and recovery, then this country is going to be an open, authentic book that talks about and owns the shit that they go through, rather than a country that waits for specific help and treatment to be able to share what they're experiencing. If we all step forward and we all provide safe spaces and comfort for people to share, this country is going to be better off for it. So, I mean, if you dance along Facebook and you find yourself running into one of those ridiculous statuses where people assume that or tell you that you shouldn't share anything that you've gone through because you're not qualified to do so, please, there is room in this field for everyone, qualified and not qualified. You want to wear a wristband, you wear a wristband. You want to wear a shirt that says something positive on it, you do it. And if you want to go out there and give people a hug and join up with these charities because you believe you've got something to offer them, please. That's where I started. That's where Mickey started. That's where Jason started. That's where Damien started. You've got 4 advocates right there on the last 4 episodes that have used their experiences to go and join and help established organizations be better. And we're not the organizations we are without people like you. So bring your experiences to the table, because you will save someone's life with what you've experienced.
And it's an interesting point that you make too about the safe spaces. So going back to the Pucker Up ride, one of the most rewarding experiences that happened with me was we were about to leave Albury, one of the mornings of the ride, and I just finished packing the truck. So one of my roles every morning was packing all the bags of the riders and everything like that. And there was a guy who came up visibly upset. And the first thing he said, that he spent 10 to 15 minutes in his car, didn't know if he was going to come back to the truck and have a chat to us. And the other thing that he said was he loved everything that we were doing. Now, that makes you feel good when someone says that they love everything that you're doing. Now, we talk about safe spaces. The truck, and I don't know if anyone's seen a photo of the truck, but it says, "I'm signing to start a conversation about suicide prevention." Now, is that the old man face?
I've accidentally today went and pulled this photo of Mickey off the Facebook, and it's the one that he's actually edited to make the grandpa face. And I'm sorry for doing that, but you look beautiful still.
That's what working in the mental health field can do for you some of the time. But we talk about the safe space and how important it is to create those. Now, this guy came up, just tears streaming down his face, and put his arms out and just gave me a massive hug. And I thought, well, there's obviously something going on here. Like, what's happening? And he followed on by saying that he lost his son to suicide 13 days before that moment. Now, that's something that I'll take to my grave. That was probably one of the most saddest, hardest moments to see what that guy was going through. He was just in so much pain, but for him to find the courage and strength to come up to a complete stranger give them a hug and talk about what he was going through was incredible. But for the amount of pain that he was feeling and what he was going through, the last thing that he said before he left was he was going to save a life today. Now, that takes a lot of courage for a guy who's just lost his son 13 days before that moment to say that he's going to put himself out there and try and save another life and help somebody else out. So it still gives me goosebumps to this day thinking about that moment. But to be involved with a ride that brought me to opportunities like that, and to give someone a hug, and that's all they needed, it was one of the most rewarding things that has ever happened with me in my short life of doing the mental health stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I mean, I just can't scream it from the raft. I don't want to, I'm not taking, please do not take this the wrong way. I'm not banishing anyone in this field. I'm trying to be inclusive of every single one in the field. We need to be open our arms to absolutely every avenue to help and support, because someone's avenue to help and support will be different to the next. But also the ability if to not even work in the field and you just want to share what you share. You want to bring to the table what you've got. Please, this we are about to walk out the other side in several months' time to COVID-19, where this country is going to lose more numbers to suicide than we've ever done before, because of what the extremely difficult time we're going through right now. And we need every single person we can. And we're going to need every single person acting out of love, belonging, connection, out of love, care, and compassion, empathy, support, and all those beautiful things. So please do not be scared of bringing to the table what you have in terms of your experiences, because the world needs more of you, the people that care. So I needed to get that off my chest, because it pissed me off to no end today to see people saying that don't take advice off anyone other than a clinical service, because I think that's absolute bullshit. If you can't tell of my opinion of that.
If I had one of those hammers from court, I'd just hit it.
Sick of seeing it, mate. We should be. We're mental health advocates, and we're sitting there telling people what not to do. No, we're mental health advocates. We act out of love every single opportunity we have, and that's
Build
what.
people up.
Yeah, absolutely. If people have got something to share it. We're better for knowing what you've been through. So, I just want to move on to what you do, Mickey. As I mentioned in the introduction, you're working now, or I shouldn't say working because you're not, mate. You're just an absolute ripper of a friend to two blokes at the Collingwood Football Club. You want to tell me a bit more?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough, Maney, to cracking photo. Maney was training at the Good Life gym where I was training, and I always look at things now, like I said before, from a mental health side of things, and I thought, well, he's copped a bloody raw deal from fans, from the media, from Bucks when he first came over to Collingwood. He was copping it left, right, and centre, and I just thought I'm going to go up and have a chat to him. So I went over to him. He was lying on the bench at the time, and I just had a chat, and it kind of built from there. So the first chat might have been 15 seconds. And he always says that I've put on one of the hardest tags that he's ever been through. Didn't let him get away from anything. But I just kept those conversations going. So every time I saw him, I just said g'day to him, how are you, mate, that kind of thing. And then there was one day at the gym where he was just standing there, and I went up and said, look, mate, I just wanted to bail you up for a second and just say that I've got so much admiration for the person that you are and what you've been through and what you've been able to do with your career and turn it around. And his eyes welled up in front of me. And to have a guy like that get emotional in a gym setting wasn't something that I expected, but I just wanted to have that conversation with him. Now, ever since then, it's been things where, like, I've looked after his house. I've taken his dogs for walks. Like, I've really, I suppose, helped him out as much as what he's helped me out through certain things. And I've been fortunate enough to, I guess, be in his network and help him out through certain things through footy. Like, I didn't miss too many games last year, thanks to him, because he gave me free tickets a lot of the time. I've been able to meet other guys throughout the club, and I suppose being a Collingwood supporter as well helps. But I genuinely just wanted to try and help him out, and I didn't even know if that conversation would go anywhere. But you just don't know where a conversation will lead. And as I said before, you don't always know what someone else might be going through. So by reaching out to someone, whether they play AFL or not, or they're an actor, actress, whatever it might be, at the end of the day, they're still human.
Mm.
Yeah, they might earn more money than us. They might be in the public spotlight. They might cop a lot more shit on social media. But at the end of the day, they are still human. And if you are polite and you're nice to them, they'll give you the time of day. Because like Maney said to me the other day, their career's short in the scheme of things. So by giving the fans and the people around them that time of day, it's going to hold them in good stead for the rest of their life as well.
Yeah, I love that, mate. You've been an absolute ripper to him and an absolute ripper to many others, including myself. I'm going to run through a set of questions, answer them however you wish.
All right.
What's your favourite food, Mickey Donehue?
Favourite food, what, good or bad?
Oh, mate, you tell me. I just said favourite.
It's hard, mate. It depends on the mood I'm in, but I'll go with Italian. I love pasta. Love pasta and pizza. And if you sit me down at a table of all you can eat, I'd probably put the business out of work, I reckon.
You're a big boy.
Actually, I'd probably keep them working because I'd have to cook a bit extra.
What feeds you full of the most joy?
Helping people. I just love the experience of knowing people reaching out to me, whether I know them or not, and saying you've helped me so much and that kind of thing. Like knowing that I've done something for somebody else is one of those things that really feeds me a lot of joy. And exactly what Joe just said, the parma. I love eating parmas as well. You can't go wrong with a chicken parma. But yeah, the joy that gives me as much joy is actually helping a lot of people out there that might be struggling, and knowing that I've been able to help them through certain things. And Joe and I have been through a lot together over the last five months, and I love him, and I've got a lot of time for him and his family.
Love that. Love that. Thanks for dropping palmers on us, Joe. And there's Paddy Lawson at 3 words. How are you, Paddy? And by the way, if anyone's got any questions for Mickey Donehue or myself, please send them in. We'd love to hear from you. Moving on. What's your place of wellness look like, Mickey Donehue?
I think being happy with the person that I am, knowing that I've got that routine in place, or being able to adapt like a lot of people have actually been able to do or have to do over the last month, I guess. But for me, trying to keep my routine as normal as possible, especially in these difficult times, that the place of wellness for me is going for a walk with my girlfriend and dog every morning, or doing some exercise of some sort, trying to eat a healthy diet, setting goals, all of that type of stuff. That's my place of wellness. And I think, I guess, helping people as well, but also at the same time knowing that it is okay to say no. And if I am struggling, it's okay to take that time for myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Number one priority is you, mate. Best teacher you have ever had. Just before you do that, what do we got? Paddy Lawson, going good, bud, stay and sanitize. Yeah, I'd be worried about where that sanitizer's going with Paddy Lawson, to be honest. Best teacher you have ever had, Mickey D.
Oh, I've got to say my parents.
Yeah.
They've been there since day one. They've been there through my good times, my great times, my shithouse times. They've really taught me some amazing values, like being honest and being polite and being genuine. And I owe a lot to where I am today to them, because they're just absolutely incredible. I don't know. I can't put my words or actions into how much I love and respect my mum and my dad.
I love that, mate. Love that. Well, hopefully they're still listening and they get a little bit of a plug there, mate.
Yeah.
Are you a podcast or a book man?
Neither, really.
Make this question hard. What's your favourite podcast or book? Best educational tool you have?
One of the podcasts I really love is, I love the Pucker Up one. I was listening to that a lot when Schwatter was doing that on a regular, but also Lead Singer Syndrome by Shane Told. He's one of my favourite frontmen from a band called Silverstein, and he just talks to different lead singers. And for someone who's been, I guess, in the music industry a little bit and loves the music, hearing some of the stories that they've had from tour or some of the struggles they've been through or how they write their songs has been really cool. So lead singer syndrome. But I've never really been a massive reader. Like, it's not really been the thing for me. I find it hard to sit still a lot, and I just don't really get too much out of it. But a few biographies and that kind of thing are really good. I love the Travis Barker book. Being a drummer myself, reading some of the things that he's done and been through is pretty cool. But I can't really help you out too much on that one, mate, because I've never really been a big podcaster or a reader.
Well, let's see. This one.
That's probably an interesting answer to get with some of the other people that you've had on over the last week.
Oh, mate, this is the beauty of it. We're all different and we can take different things away from different people. This one I might not get much out of you. Oh, we'll see. Given that people normally pull them from podcasts or books is the reason I say that, but inspiration, motivation, education, who do you look to?
First of all, I look inside. I try and get as much from my inner self as I possibly can, and that probably sounds a little bit corny or a little bit cliche, but I think it's easy to be motivated or unmotivated by ourselves. So I think you've really got to drive a fair bit from yourself. But I get so much motivation and inspiration from my girlfriend, from my dog. Like, spending time with my dog, like, it makes me feel good. My parents, my family, my friends, my sporting teammates. I get so much from everybody else, but for me, it ultimately starts with myself.
Love that. We look inward. We all have the strength that it takes within. If we just tap into what exists, we're all very strong. We've all got more down the low than we think. Question there for Dennis. Mick, if you could do whatever you could without failure, what would you do?
Oh, professional golfer.
Yeah, nice.
And I'm sure Dennis could relate to this as well. I think, yeah, professional golfer, maybe on the side, maybe a massive rock star, being a drummer in one of the biggest bands in the world. I think those two things would be pretty amazing. But I think, yeah, being able to play some elite golf courses, travel around, I think that would be pretty amazing.
Love that.
Plus, if you don't have to spend a heap of cash on golf clubs and golf balls, that would be quite handy as well. So, Dennis, if you've got a hook up, hit me up, please.
Thanks, Dennis, for the question. Keep them coming in. We've only got another few minutes, but we'd love to hear from you. Mickey Donehue, favourite quote? You got one?
I think my favourite quote would have to be, "Throw me to the wolves and I'll return leading the pack."
Oh, love it. Love it.
Because the beauty of it is, I've seen this before, you can go from the front, but a wolf is also someone who's prepared to fall behind and bring the rest of the pack with them. So if that's the same for me, thanks, Joe. If that's the same for me, if I've got to fall behind and bring other people with me, whether it's mental health, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever it might be, if I can lead from the front but then also lead from the back, that's probably the quote that I live by as much as I possibly can.
I think that's important, leading from behind and modelling the correct behaviours in which for other people not to become followers but to become leaders themselves. Any superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh, it's a tough one. I don't know. I don't know if I'd actually have one. I think you'd probably have to, being the strongest man in the world, be all right. But I think
there, aren't you?
I think for me though, yeah, I don't really know. I think Budgie might have said this one last night, like the time travel one. I think that would be amazing as well. Like if you're traveling around a fair bit for work, being able to just kind of wake up, have a quick shower, and then go, sweet, I'm in Perth in 2 minutes. That'd be amazing. Rather than spending 2 hours on the road or hitting up the flight for however long it might be. I think being able to just teleport and be like, sweet, I'm there. I think that'd be amazing.
Oh, well, one day I reckon that might come true. You know that?
Hope so.
What have we got? Paddy Lawson, league or AFL, mate? I know the answer to this one.
Oh, I could not tell you the first thing about league. I think for me, I've never seen the point in going backwards to go forwards. When you can just grab a Sharon and kick it at 65. So for me, AFL 100%. I couldn't really tell you too much about league, unfortunately. Sorry, Paddy, don't hold that against me, mate.
I'm sure he won't. What would you tell your younger self, little Mickey Donehue, before all the struggles? What would you tell him? What would you give him the heads up about?
Speak sooner. You don't actually have to hit rock bottom to seek help or ask for help or say that you're struggling. I sacrificed 5 years of my life not knowing where to go, or I had people around me, but I didn't know what to say or who to say it to. And for me, if I could talk to my younger self, I'd just say speak sooner, because life is meant to be happy and there's so many beautiful people and beautiful things you can do if you speak a lot sooner.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It's a great lesson for anyone out there. But as long as we're always ready, like Mickey said before, to listen on the other end to make sure that they feel comfort in speaking up. What have we've got? As what's Paddy said? As a New South Welshman, I can't read. I'm in the dark. Sorry. Needed to ask. I'm more AFL now.
Because he's more AFL now too. So
I'm glad to hear that, Paddy. We're glad to have you across. 3 people, anyone in the world that you could have, dead or alive, you could have for dinner. Who would you have?
Travis Barker. Is it celebrities or is it anyone?
Whoever you like.
Oh, well, I'd have to invite my girlfriend. Otherwise, I might be sleeping in the dog kennel with Harvey tonight. So I'd say my girlfriend, Travis Barker, and Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, nice. Advice. What parting advice would you leave for the listeners and myself, Mickey boy?
Ultimately, look after yourself first. Like you said before, it's really important to put that oxygen mask on yourself so that you can actually help other people too. But putting that time and effort in so that you're as close to 100% as possible is really important. So that because if you're not 100%, and I'll share an experience with you shortly, if you're not 100%, it's really hard to give yourself to other people out there as well. So putting that time and effort in, because and Joe, if you're still watching, we've been through a lot over the last few months. Like I said before, I was in Brisbane for work, and he rang me at 5:45 because of the time difference, and I thought, Joe and I play a bit of golf together, and I thought, holy shit, he's keen to play golf. And he rang me up to say that one of my best mates that I went to school with, that I'd just been over to play footy with in Thailand together, had lost his life in a car accident. Now, we said before about not having our shit together, being in this space. It's 100% true. The last probably 5 months have been 5 of the hardest months I've been through recently. And I had people reaching out to me saying, look, I don't know what to do. I'm struggling. What should I do? And I just said, look, I'm not kind of downplaying the issues or problems that they had going on, but I just said to them, look, go see a local GP or talk to a health professional or someone else. I'm just not in the right headspace to be looking out for you as well at the moment, because I needed to put that time and effort into myself. And I think also, if I didn't have the coping mechanisms in place that I put in place from 10 years ago, it was one of those things I probably wouldn't have been able to get through the last 5 months as well as what I have. So losing BJ, who's arguably one of my best mates, was really tough. Had a couple of people in my family and close network die from cancer, and my mum's just had open heart surgery. So for me if I wasn't looking after myself and putting myself first, I wouldn't have been able to get through this as much as I can. So if that's the only advice that people take away, it's important that we do the things we enjoy, stay as close to 100% as possible, and then, do as much as you can in your spare time while you're looking after yourself to help others as well.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks, Mickey. And I appreciate you sharing that, such a meaningful story with us. And now knowing that you are experiencing some of the toughest months you have, I mean, I know that there'd be a few people in here that would be, myself included, that'll be right behind you, tenfold more. And that's the benefit of opening up and sharing with people, stranger or not. Mickey boy, what's next for you? What's next for Michael Donehue?
I'm going to learn how to do a handstand, I think. I need to try and do that. But I think I'm meant to be in New York at the moment for work. So my plans have changed drastically But I think for me, it's just about doing things that make me as happy as possible. So spending time with the close ones around me, connecting as much as we possibly can in these difficult times, but also just trying to keep that routine as much as I possibly can. We're challenged. There's no question about it. We're challenged at the moment, but I see this as a great opportunity. And I saw Dennis talk about this the other day. It's a great opportunity to test us mentally and physically. No matter what we're doing, there's so many things that we can try and do. Like if the power goes out, we probably get a little bit upset or disappointed, but we light a candle. Like if we can't go to the gym, we can find other ways to do it rather than just kind of going, this is shit. What am I going to do about this? I'm just going to sit on the couch. I'm going to watch Netflix, Stan, whatever it might be. And one thing that I've taken away from a good man by the name of Mike Rolls, rather than sitting there and going, why me? Let's look at what's next. So don't kind of sit there and go, this is shit. I can't go to the gym. I can't do bicep curls. I can't do bench press, whatever it might be. It's about what can we put in place now to put things in place for us to look after ourselves. And I think for me, it's just keeping a routine as much as I possibly can, ride out this big wave and then see what it brings after it.
Absolutely. In no uncertain terms, unfortunately, a bad day is coming.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time before something happens to one of us. And on this feed and the people that are listening, that's the way of the world. And it's about preparing ourselves for that situation and not waiting until that situation comes around before we act.
Yeah.
Be proactive. So, yeah, put the time and effort into ourselves the way you deserve, because all of us deserve to live a healthy, happy, and fulfilling life the same way we do now that we look after ourselves, me and myself and Mickey. We've got Jordan. Thanks for the question, Jordan. We've got at what stage, Mickey, did you feel the need to reach out?
Good question. And I don't really know if I can actually pinpoint it, but I just realised that I think once I was educated a little bit more, I knew a little bit about what I was going through or what I was feeling. I think that was a time I needed to reach out. At the time, I was at my best mate's 21st birthdays. My girlfriend at the time said, I think you need some help. And I thought what I'll do is I'll reach out, I'll have a chat to my parents and, go see a local doctor. And I thought, well, that'll be good. It'll be one thing that saves our relationship. But she broke up with me 2 weeks later, so her loss. But I think, for me, it was just about realising that life is meant to be happy. And I know that I had those people around me, and I just wanted to be the happiest version because people saw me as the Mick Donehue outside of home. They saw the happy, smiley person, but I wanted to be the happy, smiley person at home as well. So I think realising that I needed to be happy and wanted to be happy was the thing that made me want to reach out. And unfortunately, I didn't know much about mental health or mental illness, and I sacrificed a lot of my years. But I think hindsight's a beautiful thing, and I think just reaching out when you feel the right time for yourself is really important.
Yeah, I love that. And thanks for the question too, Jordan. We've got another one coming in from Nathan Watson. How do you get motivated, especially to exercise with all that's going on without football at the moment? How do we get it? How do we find motivation, Mickey boy?
Watto, I'm missing footy as well, mate. I've had more comebacks than John Farnham when it comes to footy. And people tuning in probably know that as well. So I've kind of found it difficult, but at the same time, I know that if I exercise, it's going to make me feel better. Now, the backyard I've got in Melbourne is only 10 metres long. So I know that I think I did about 1.5 Ks today from running that 10 metres up and back. And I know that, for me, feeling good by exercising is one bonus for me. But I think it's a tough one. Sorry, Watto. But for me, it's just finding it from within, like chucking your runners on and just kind of doing it. And it's easier said than done for me and some other people out there as well. But I know that if you just do it, you are going to feel a lot better by exercising a little bit, whether it's lifting fig trees over your head like I've been doing the last couple of days, whether it's, I don't know, lifting bricks. Find something to do because it will make a big difference to the way that you're feeling.
Yeah. There's a couple of techniques that I just want to add because for anyone that hasn't heard of Mel Robbins, she has the rocket ship theory. And it's as simple as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, so that you trick the brain and you don't have time to think about all the excuses as to why we won't do something. So making decisions on a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 basis and then just doing it. Also the ability to know that if you're going to get up first thing in the morning and do the exercise, well, put the clothes to the side of the bed the night before, and have yourself eliminate the excuses you're going to have. Like you're rolling over and then you've got to go find clothes and you've got to have a shower. Well, have your clothes just right next to the bed. So the first thing you wake up and see is the clothes and the gym gear, and it sort of inspires you to put them on, or eliminates that excuse as to going and looking for them or pulling them out of the dirty laundry. So there's just little things that we can do to trick our brains. And I mean, I use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 theory all the time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm getting out of the bed. These little things disrupt.
The other thing I'll say as well, like I'll add, routine has been changed completely with everything going on. So I've found myself at times sitting on the couch and like instead of like some of the time, if I'm working a full day, I might go, all right, I'm going to the gym between 4 and 6 or whatever it might be. But if I'm sitting on the couch now and I have this overwhelming feeling of, all right, I'm going to exercise now, just do it. If it's 11:52 in the morning, who cares what time it is? It's just about kind of doing it.
Yeah.
And those times might be completely different, but it's also good just to, I guess, shock the body, like you said, with those different times, different trainings, and then just challenge yourself to get the most out of yourself in these different times.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Paddy said, I'm going to give that one a go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I mean, it's just a matter of doing it without giving ourselves the time to think about all the bullshit reasons as to why we won't. So Mel Robbins, that one, and she talks about it. Go look her up on YouTube. Mel Robbins, she does a really good talk on why that theory works. So it's a great video to check out. Also to Paddy, I know you're just giving us a compliment there for doing this and to starting and hearing these stories. We're both incredible. What's incredible is the people that are tuning in. I'm very grateful for Mickey coming on tonight. So thank you, Mickey, for your time, for your efforts, your experiences, and your good looks with us all.
Do we need something to finish off? Or
go on, please do it.
Do it. I've already embarrassed myself enough. I can't do that again.
No, not at all. I would have loved for that. I just thanks to Mickey. I mean, we're all better off for knowing your story and from hearing from you tonight. And as Paddy said there, it's not, I mean, he said that we're incredible. I'm going to say that all of you are incredible. Thank you for tuning in and joining us tonight. I mean, it'd be pretty boring if it was just me and Mickey talking shit to each other. So we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate your feedback, your questions, and your willingness to step on for an hour and a half and learn about some new tips, techniques, and ways in which to look after our wellness in such a difficult time.
And Matty, can I just finish off by saying I absolutely love you. I love the work you do. Don't stop, because the world needs more people like yourself, and I've got a lot of time and respect for your brother, and I'm always here for you. So I love you lots, mate.
I appreciate it. And these are the relationships that we can build when we just put ourselves out of the comfort zone to have a conversation with people. And that's how that started between myself and Mickey. So I'm very grateful too. Good news for everyone that is listening. I've had 4 episodes, 4 males. Episode 5 will, I promise, be a female. I'm looking for 4 more females that want to step on and have a chat with me. I know it's a little bit daunting, a little bit scary, but I think it's really important that we get more female guests on. And I would love for anyone to send us through anything that they'd like us to discuss, talk about, any guests that you'd recommend that I speak to and get to the bottom of their stories and share their learnings with everyone. As I said before, doesn't matter what trauma you've been through. It doesn't matter what story you have, good, bad, or ugly. It doesn't matter if you don't know nothing about nothing. Whatever you do know, we're going to share with people and help people get through this time. And please do not go back into your box at the fear of your story not being as valid or as good as the person sitting next to you. Every single person that has been through pain, that pain is valid, and that pain we can turn into magic quite easily. So continue to tune in. I'll see you probably next week we've got Jamie Wolf on, who I love and appreciate. And we've also got Ben Higgs from the Rise Foundation. So we're going to have very different sort of characters on next week, which I can't wait to share with you. We're in talks to have a few more people involved, and I'm always open for anyone else in which that wants to share the evening with me and the people watching at home. Thank you for supporting Mindful Oz and the conversations around mental health. I'll see you all very soon for episode 5. Good night.